Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. The lady from our first story is crazy. Why not just get a pet that's a natural vegan, like a rabbit? The nerve of some people. So before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Pet store lady and vegan snakes. I was recently at the pet store looking at all the animals and thinking about when each one will die, when this lady came up to me and asked if there are any vegan snakes. Vegan snakes? I asked her. She looks at me and frowns. Yes, vegan snakes. I want a snake, but I want one that doesn't eat meat. My cousin has a cat that's on a vegan diet, so I want a snake that also eats a vegan diet. I look at her and say, ma'am, snakes are carnivorous. They only eat meat. If a snake's put on a vegan diet, I assure you that the snake won't last. I also don't believe cats should be put on a vegan diet either. She just glares at me. I'll have you know that any animal can become vegan. Now, please take me to your manager because I'm clearly not going to get anything worthwhile from you. You obviously have zero respect for me or yourself. I say, ma'am, I don't work here. Of course you do. Now take me to your manager. Okay then. I have her follow me to where the dogs are. I see a nice little puppy and say, here's my manager. His name is Mr. Moneybags. Who's the best manager? You are. She just looks at me in confusion for a few seconds, then snaps back, how dare you? I want your manager, your real manager, right now. I look at her with a stern face. Mr. Moneybags doesn't like it when people yell. He really doesn't like it at all. Not one bit. Then give her a big smile. She backs away and then runs out the doors. I quite enjoyed that encounter. She's absolutely right, though. She didn't say the animals will survive, but they'll be vegan. And our second story. You want to count keystrokes? Sure, have at it. Most of my career involved writing, and I often worked in departments that had several other writers, but usually everyone was good at what they did. In one setting, some guy was hired who not only could not write well, by that I mean competently and efficiently, but was a suck-up jerk. He groomed his relationship with management to the point he became some sort of executive lapdog for one particular manager who was vulnerable to butt kissing. This was fine initially because we didn't have to edit or rewrite his horrible work. However, he took things to another level and got the manager to permit him to do some analysis on our productivity. The part about the keystrokes is coming? Hang in there and you'll see it. One of his stunts was to ask for detailed lists of exactly how we spent our time, down to the minute, and he provided weekly charts we had to fill in by hand. Although our fairly small group churned out hundreds of original pieces of writing every month, it wasn't sufficient to block a chunk of time out for writing the XYZ report. We had to give more details. At that point, we did a collective, huh? And eye roll. Okay, fine. We began entering things like thought about XYZ report, 30 minutes, or phoned so-and-so about the XYZ report, 10 minutes, or edited the edit of XYZ report, 15 minutes. In some cases, the idiot manager recognized it was a waste of time, so that ceased. You'd think he would have learned that anal bean counting wasn't welcome, right? But no. When we then got a notice that he'd be monitoring our keystrokes for every single document via the word processing system, we tried to point out that someone who deletes by backstrokes versus highlighting and cutting would have a different count of keystrokes for the same basic number of characters. But that didn't sink into him. We also pointed out that keystrokes don't really tell you anything in terms of productivity, since we wrote about anything from standard personnel-related actions to complicated engineering procedures. No luck. By this time, we were fed up. Without even conferring about it, we all began using needless keystrokes in everything we wrote, such as inserting an underline with manual strokes or adding a row of junk and deleting everything character by character. My preferred method was to write out every date as, in the year of our Lord, 2009, and sometimes I then deleted it, and sometimes I left it in. Once again, his anal little project didn't last long. And our next story. Working as a young bouncer. Anyway, back when I just turned 18, I decided to earn some money while still going to school. There was this pub in my town I always went to on the weekends. In Germany, you're allowed to drink beer and stay in bars until midnight if you're 16 or 17 years old. I started there like 2 weeks after my birthday as kind of a busboy, I'd say, collecting dirty glasses and cleaning them, stocking the bar, etc. So this pub opened doors at 7 p.m., but the 40-ish-year-old bouncer would only be there by 9 p.m. In between, it was the duty of us busboys to check IDs and watch out nobody under the age of 16 enters. And at 12 p.m., we'd help the bouncer to kick out every minor inside. Oh boy, I don't know how many encounters I had where I actually had to discuss with the customers if I've worked there or not. We didn't have a dress code. I was always working in jeans and shorts and usually some kind of band t-shirt. At first it was a bit weird, but after some years, I've got a lot of different stories to tell. The most entitled people were teens who just turned 16 or 18. Their attitude always been like, "How dare you ask for my ID? Can't you see I just turned 16 or 18? But one of the most amusing encounters I had was after about 3 years working there. We always had pupils trying to get inside by showing us their student ID. We're not allowed to accept these as they're pretty easy to fake. I'd done it myself when I was younger, or friends just giving younger friends their ID. Cast. Me is me. TG is teenage girl. TGF is friends of TG. It was a night like every other night. I've been standing on the outside smoking a cigarette while casually checking IDs of new customers. Then a group of around 5 teenagers shows up. Me. "Hey there, can I see your IDs, please?" TG. "What? We're here every weekend and never had to show our IDs." TGF. "Yeah, we're regulars here." Me. "Well, I'm working here almost every Friday and never seen you. Anyways, it's the law that we have to check IDs so no minor could enter." TG. "Well, do you even work here? Are you a real bouncer? I've never seen you before. Can you show me your bouncer ID?" I don't know what exactly she wanted to see. We don't have anything like that. Me. "Sorry, I don't have anything like that. I'm only checking IDs till 9 p.m. when Harry, old bouncer, shows up." After some back and forth, they finally showed me their IDs, and while TGFs all had valid IDs, TG showed me a student ID. Usually I'd say, "Sorry, but unless you can show me an official ID, I can't let you in." But this time was different. This time was the first time a random customer I didn't know handed me an ID from somebody I've actually known. I looked at her student's ID and immediately recognized name and picture of a friend of mine. Me. "OMG, Chrissy, didn't realize it was you at first. Damn, you've changed since 2 weeks prior." TG. "Wait, what?" Me. "Yeah, don't you remember? We've been at random place with random people to eat pizza." TG is just staying silent and her face is turning into a deep red. Then she just says, "Never mind," and tries to snap the ID back from my hands. I'm not giving it to her and say, "Okay, listen now, it's a felony to use somebody else's ID. You can actually get arrested for that. You can call Chrissy now and give her to me so I can confirm you didn't steal her ID. After that, you're free to go. But never try coming in here again unless you're old enough to enter." TG calls my friend. I'm talking with her a couple of seconds. I'm telling her not to lend her ID to minors anymore, and that's that. I keep the ID to give back to Chrissy, and the group is going somewhere else. And our last story. Karen and his kids decide my land is theirs whenever they want. The nice weather's in, and the Karens are coming out. So my house sits on a big plot of land. It's 900 meters wide and stretches back 1,200 meters long back into a forested area. I have the front of my property fenced off with a large gate to the main driveway and a smaller wood and wire farm-style fence stretching down the width of my property that faces the road. The width has a similar small fence until it hits the forested area. Most of the forest is sugar maple that I take full advantage of and harvest maple sugar. And in my backyard, I have several game traps set up, mostly for rabbits, a large dog-out area for a vegetable garden. Well, today I was playing some games and I hear shouting and screaming coming from my backyard. Also, I want to note I have no trespassing signs posted all over my property, all around the border. Well, I go outside and see what's going on, and sure enough, there's 3 kids in my backyard taking shots with a slingshot on cams propped up against my large shed near my garden. Well, I go out and tell them that it's time to go. It's private property, that they're going to damage my shed, and it's really a bad place to play. There's a park not too far from my house. About an hour later, I get a knock at my door from their father. That man had nothing nice to say. I had no right to tell his kids to leave, that it's all public land and they can access it if they can use it. Again, I have a fence around my property with no trespassing signs. Also, at my front gate, I have an intercom. This guy jumped my fence instead of using the intercom to bitch me out. I know because on my camera, I can clearly see his car parked. The guy had been standing there yelling for several minutes. I only opened my main wood door a little to see him, so there was a glass door separating us. I told the guy to leave, that he and his goblins were very lucky that my dog was not out. He's a guard dog. The guy just told me to shut my bee face up. I'm a liar, POS, that he and his kids will use the property anytime they want. So I just decided to show him why it's a bad idea to come on my property. I opened my big wooden door so he can see my big 160-pound King Shepherd sitting there growling, looking super pissed off. Well, he decided to leave, call me a bee, and flip me off. But I don't think he'll come back anytime soon. Edit. I found out where they came from. They own a small 100-meter by 100-meter plot of land way behind my property line, about 1 kilometer away from where my property line ends. They've been making trails through the woods right past my no trespassing signs. I'm on a walk right now at the back of my property. It seems that people like this get petty and likely have zero moral compass. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.